Bonjour tout le monde. Aujourd'hui, c'est mercredi, Wednesday, le 8 septembre. Le 8 septembre. I am going to have a recording of our synchronous class today that I will also upload, but I obviously can't do that until we've had the synchronous class. So that will be later today. But for now, I wanted to walk through a couple things, our Wednesday stuff, but then also I wanted to take a look at this. I've had some questions about just what your grade is based on. And if you take a look at our syllabus, which as you might have noticed, I just clicked on course information and materials, and it's there. It's also in this course information folder down here. So if you open up our syllabus, it's a little bigger. Okay, so grading is over here. And basically your semester work is worth the bulk of your grade, 90% versus your final exam, which is just 10%. Within that semester work, and if you are a middle schooler, semester is just going to be divided into 45% first quarter, 45% second quarter. So it's the same thing basically. So you're going to have most of that based on input. That means based on your listening quizzes, that's the biggest. Also some reading comprehension activities. And the reason that we want input to be the biggest part of your grade is that when you're starting to learn a language, you're listening, you're taking it in. That's why it's called input, as opposed to producing. It takes time to gain the confidence and just the skill to produce language. So we want to really focus in beginning language classes on what you're understanding. And that's something that science has proven in terms of how we develop language. So that's why we put so much emphasis on the input. Output then is still, you'll have, your flip grids, and there'll be some other writing and speaking activities. This will mostly be based on your flip grids and your quick writes. And then classwork and homework, that's your translations that you do every week, and some other activities that are still important to practice, but not as much of an impact on your grade. So that's how our grading works. If you have any further questions, feel free to ask me, but I wanted to be sure to address that because I'd had some questions. Okay. Mercredi, when we open up our slides. Okay, le 8 septembre, we have our meet, like I mentioned, that starts at 8:45. And then if you're not there, you'll need to do a flip grid. That will be based on le mot de passe, this question du jour, tu es en quelle année? And the slide for that is down here. And then you can just use this link to get to that flip grid. There's also, as usual, an example of me doing the flip grid that you can watch and listen to for pronunciation help before you do your own video. There's a this day in history, but you don't need to do anything with it today. There's no discussion, just read through it. Aujourd'hui, c'est mercredi le 8 septembre, la journée internationale de l'alphabétisation. L'alphabétisation is a really cool word, I think, but it just means literacy. So you can see how it kind of coincides with the word alphabet in English and alphabet in French. And this I got from a colleague. It is just a French alphabet song, as the title tells you here. It's kind of a, Sesame Street type vibe to it. And I hadn't seen it before just recently. I've always used a different alphabet song, but I thought this one was pretty fun. So listen to what those letters sound like. A, B, C, D. And then we'll get into that a little more later on this year. So that's that. La chanson, that actually was from yesterday, so this would take you to this slide. Listen to that song. You're going to be expected to know those months, so make sure you're practicing that. Oh, oops, I put the flip grid twice. I'll have to fix that. And then finally, La personne spéciale. La personne spéciale. This is going to be an interview, and it's going to happen during our synchronous meet. So I obviously can't put anything here until we've had that synchronous meet. So that'll come later. You'll listen to the interview. You'll do a write and discuss that'll kind of summarize that interview. And then there will be a quiz on that person's summary. So we're going to look at the questions we had last week. Tu t'appelles comment? Tu préfères blank ou un autre nom? Tu es en quelle année? And then we're going to add some more. Où est-ce que tu habites? Comment es-tu? Je suis grand ou grande. Je suis petit, petite. Again, I'll explain this in the recording of the meet today, but this is talking about your height, grand, tall, petit, short. And if you're a girl, you add that extra on the end, the extra e, and it changes its pronunciation a little bit. Grand, masculin, grande, féminin. Petit, masculin, petite, féminin. And then there's je suis de taille moyenne, medium height, de taille moyenne. J'ai les yeux bruns, j'ai les yeux bleus, j'ai les yeux verts. Again, notice that the item that we're describing, les yeux, comes first, and the describing word, the color, brun, bleu, vert, comes after. So remember, we flip-flop the noun and adjective most of the time in French. Again, you'll see that during the interview. So this is where the write and discuss will go, and then there will be an additional slide with the quiz. Don't worry about taking the quiz today necessarily. I will get that up as soon as possible. It may or may not happen during our synchronous meet, just kind of depending on how much time we end up having. So just be watching for that. But if you take it tomorrow or even Friday, that is just fine. Okay, so I will post this in our Mercredi Wednesday folder, as well as the recording of our meet. And as always, if you have any questions, just shoot me an email. Au revoir tout le monde.